But first, to really appreciate this whole transformation, we've got to establish the scale we're dealing with here. At 9 weeks, the baby is roughly 2.5 centimeters long. Now sure, individual measurements can vary a little bit, but just conceptualize that number for a second. We're talking about something barely over an inch long. It's incredibly tiny. And yet, the sheer amount of biological engineering happening within that microscopic space is just staggering.
To put that into a real-world perspective, right now, the baby is basically the size of a cherry, or, maybe a small grape. But please do not let that tiny cherry size fool you for a second. This is a period of absolutely explosive development. The biological blueprints are turning into physical architecture at breakneck speed. Everything is scaling up, connecting, and prepping for the months ahead.
Now, if you could somehow peek inside and actually look at an image of your baby right now, you'd probably instinctively ask this exact question. Whoa, why is the head so big? It is a super common reaction. The head looks completely, totally out of proportion with the rest of that tiny body. But rest assured, this is a completely normal hallmark of the 9-week mark. And honestly, the reason why is the key to understanding everything else happening this week.
See, the head is disproportionately large simply because the brain and the nervous system are growing at an astonishingly rapid pace. The body is dedicating massive resources right there. First, the different regions of the brain are becoming much more distinct. And then, that rapidly growing nervous system is furiously forming intricate connections throughout the entire body. The rest of the physical body, it'll absolutely catch up. But right now, building this biological supercomputer is exactly what leads to the most surprising development of week 9. Which brings us perfectly to the most mind-blowing part of week 9, addressing a huge question we see all the time from first-time moms who feel absolutely nothing happening in their belly yet. There's a baby in there, this brain is developing, but it feels completely still. So why is that? Well, get ready because the reality of what's happening inside the womb is wildly different from what you're actually experiencing on the outside.
Here is the absolute coolest part. Your baby is actually already making tiny, spontaneous movements. This is the direct result of all that massive brain growth we just talked about. As those brand new neural connections fire up, they reach the newly developing muscles, causing these small, spontaneous twitches and shifts. The brain is literally taking the body for a test drive. The biological wiring connects, the signals are sent, and boom, the muscles respond. It creates this crazy biological paradox. On one hand, you've got the baby's reality. The nervous system is firing, muscles are twitching, and spontaneous movement is absolutely happening. But on the other hand, you have mom's reality. Zero physical sensation of any of this activity. You just won't feel it yet, simply because the baby is still just the size of a cherry. The physical weight and force of those movements are just way too subtle to register through the uterine wall. You probably won't feel these amazing gymnastics until well into the second trimester.
Section 1. Taking on human form, from embryo to fetus.
So looking at the exterior, what's truly astonishing right now is the sheer amount of detail emerging all at once. The facial structures are becoming beautifully defined, the eyes are developing, and tiny eyelids are actually starting to form. The ears, the nose, the mouth, they're all becoming distinctly recognizable. And it's not just the face. Those tiny arms and legs are growing longer, and essential joints are beginning to develop. We're even seeing the formation of little fingers and toes. That abstract little shape from the earlier weeks, it's definitively taking on a recognizable human form. And as the exterior takes shape, the internal engine is working incredibly hard too. The heart is continuing its rapid, complex development. In fact, by the 9-week mark, cardiac activity is very often fully detectable on an ultrasound. Hearing or seeing that tiny, rapid heartbeat is usually one of the most profound, unforgettable moments for expecting parents during this stage. Now, a quick, super important reminder directly from our sources, because this is crucial for your peace of mind. Pregnancy isn't a perfectly synchronized clock. If your calculated dates are even slightly off, an ultrasound might show development that's a little earlier or a little later than you expected, and that is exactly why healthcare providers look at a combination of multiple measurements and findings rather than just panicking over a single number or a single snapshot in time.
Section 2. The toll on mom, exhaustion and nausea.
Look, if you're sitting there right now feeling like you could easily sleep for 17 hours straight, I promise you, you are not crazy. Just consider this incredible contrast. The baby has this explosive energy, rapidly building organs, a complex brain, and firing up a brand new nervous system. Meanwhile, mom's energy is completely depleted. The contrast between your baby's internal biological marathon and your profound bone-deep fatigue is just staggering. So, why exactly does this happen? Well, this extreme first trimester exhaustion is completely 100% normal. It's driven by the immense biological work required to literally build a human being from scratch. Your body is undergoing massive hormonal shifts. It's ramping up increased blood production to support the baby. Every single system in your body is working overtime, and that enormous unseen effort is exactly what leaves you feeling completely wiped out. And of course, we absolutely cannot talk about week 9 without mentioning the nausea. You might find that your absolute favorite takeout meal suddenly smells like something that should be banned by international law. Sudden food aversions are incredibly common right now. If you're dealing with intense nausea, the best approach is to try eating small, frequent meals rather than large ones. And just do your best to stay hydrated, even if it's just tiny sips of water throughout the day. Section 3. Safety first. Don't ignore these warning signs. While all that exhaustion and nausea is just par for the course, there are absolutely specific symptoms that require immediate medical attention. Please seek prompt medical care if you experience any of these severe warning signs: heavy bleeding, severe abdominal or pelvic pain, fainting, or severe dizziness. Also, while nausea is normal, if your vomiting becomes so severe that you have a total inability to keep any fluids down, you need to contact your healthcare provider. Seriously, never hesitate